Hey, happy Monday. Man, I'm glad to be here and thank you for being here. Thank you for either being here with me live or for watching this later on. This week I've been really thinking about really the power of being intentional and how that really affects our lives. Me and my wife were talking about it, and we're talking about how it's really important to be intentional, and it's really kind of key to your growth and it's key to your success. But then I started to realize that it's not just key, it's foundational. Like if you're not intentional, if you're not actually taking control, and if you're not really kind of taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, then you're just letting life happen to you. You guys know how much I love the Tony Robbins saying, "What if life happens for you, not to you?" And there's a reason that resonates so much with me, and I'm sure it does with you too. Because the thing is, so often we do just let life happen to us, right? But when we take control, things change. And I realized that being intentional is the foundation for everything. It's the foundation for success. It's the foundation for growth. It's the foundation for good relationships. It's the foundation for fulfillment, because none of us are fulfilled. None of us like just drifting through life. I don't think any of us can say that. But it's really pivotal and it's really, really foundational in everything. Not that long ago, after my son got sick, and I was struggling with really rebounding, if you will, and I was in a really dark place. But at one point, I made a conscious choice to be intentional. I intentionally focused, and I intentionally decided, this is not who I want to be. I am going to focus on the person that I want to become, instead of just letting life and things happen to me like it has for most of my life. I decided that I am going to I am really going to be intentional. I am going to take that wheel, and I am going to be in control of my own life. If you think about going on a road trip, and you're driving down the road, and let's say your friend is driving, or your spouse, or whatever. When they're driving, you have no control over where that car goes. Am I right? So when you're just sitting in the passenger seat of your life, you have no control of where you're going. So it really goes back to the locus of control. Do you have an internal one where you know that you're in control, and you know you can take charge, and you know that the things that you do today and the decisions you make are going to have an effect, years down the road? Or do you have that external locus of control where you think that just life happens to you? Nothing's in my control. It's the economy, it's the market, it's whatever it is, it's the grocery prices, and you're just letting things happen to you. You're slipping into this victim mentality instead of really, really taking control. Believe it or not, most people don't make the choice to be intentional. They just let life happen to them. That's why it's unique, and that's why it's so important to be intentional and to fight to take back control of your life. It's the difference between being proactive versus reactive, and I'm sure you've heard that before. But it just means, when you're proactive, you're in the game. You're actually making plays instead of just sitting on the sideline letting everything happen, right? So you're actively taking steps toward your goals, or toward the person that you want to become, and you're moving toward that, being intentional. And I know I keep saying intentional, 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 but it's so important. If you think about, I have a handful of what I call my core habits, or my master habits. And a couple of, I'll just give you a few examples. One of them is journaling. I think journaling is so important to be able to collect your thoughts, to be able to compound, to be able to really dig in and really discover what you really believe, because a lot of times you don't know until you start writing it down. But you have to be intentional to keep a journal, especially to be consistent. Most of the time you don't just sit down and start randomly writing random things. You have to have a thought in mind. You have to actually be intentional about what you're doing. Another one of my core habits is gratitude. And you really have to be intentional to really, really practice gratitude in a meaningful way. We live in a culture of immediate gratification, and we live in a culture of entitlement. And it takes intention in the world we live in to practice gratitude. And then you can take all kinds of other things, to really be consistent in a workout routine, or to have a specific morning routine, or to have, to read every day. All of those are goals, right? All of those things are what we're working toward. But I think a lot of times we just think that we set the goals, we think hard enough, and then we're done, right? And then it will just magically happen. But you have to be intentional. You have to take action every day toward that. You have to make an active and conscious choice to really start to build habits. You experience the life that you focus on. Have you ever felt like a dog that's constantly distracted by squirrels? Being intentional really keeps you on track with your goals. So choose to be the driver. What's the worst that could happen, right? If you decided that you're going on this road trip, we're all on a road trip, right? Life is a road trip. What's the worst that could happen if you decided, you know what, whoever's in control right now, let's pull over, let me refocus. I'm getting kind of blurry here. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, there we go. So let's pull over, let's refocus, and I'm going to drive the rest of the road trip. I'm going to go the rest of the way because I want to be in control. I want to have that wheel. So you have to make a conscious choice to be intentional. That's what intentionality means, right? When you're intentional, your goals go from just being a pipe dream to a tangible result, a tangible reality in your life. And when you start to build those habits, because the habits they're really the fabric of personal growth. They're really what creates real momentum towards success. I don't know why my camera is going so blurry today. Hello. This is gonna be fun for people to watch later. All right, let's try this. Nope, still not working. There we go. Now it's focusing. That's the problem with these autofocus systems. Wow. I might have to, let me try this. That is really, really blurry. This thing cannot figure out where I am. Hello. Well, I'm gonna finish there we go. I'm in focus now. I guess I gotta get a new webcam. Sorry, everyone. That was crazy, but I guess I had to be intentional to really focus on what was going on, right? And I didn't even realize I was blurry. So, but hopefully some of this is landing. It's really crucial to build those habits and to have the fabric, and to start to build your intentional life, because intentionality is everything. Being intentional will also increase, and it will make your decision-making process way easier. So I would recommend that you regularly reflect, and you go back and you look at your past decisions, because sometimes we just make the decision and we move forward, expecting it's going to be the right one, or sometimes we're expecting it to be the wrong one, but we don't go back and go, okay, how did that actually pan out? How did that actually work, right? And we want to make sure that we know how our goals are having long-term impact. So sorry about the blurriness, but I want to encourage you, what is an area where you can be more intentional today? Is it a habit that you need to start or stop? Or maybe you need to learn how to communicate better with your family or your spouse or whatever it is. But I would love for you to share in the comments below a habit that you're working on and a way that you can be intentional today. Not tomorrow, because we're talking about intentionality, right? Intentionality means taking action today. So what is a habit, or what is something that you can do today that will put you on that path toward a more intentional life, and a life of more fulfillment, and a life of more success? Success comes from intentionality. I've learned that the hard way in so many areas. You have to be intentional about your life. This one was kind of a serious one, but I wanted to really drive home the point that so many people, they just drift through life. They just let it happen to them. I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be intentional today. So share in the comments below. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Drop some thoughts in the comments below, and keep growing and empowering those around you, one mind at a time. Until next time.